So Danny Cox is set to go. He's completed his warm-up tosses. Pittsburgh's playing at New York tonight. New York has already scored in the first inning off Rick Russell a couple of times, and they're still batting. We'll keep you abreast of that as we go along here this evening. The leadoff man for Montreal is Tim Raines. He's been on a hot streak, to say the least. He's hit, and been on. And as you know, he's one of the best base stealers in the game. He's already swiped 60. Jack is away doing football this weekend, and here for the play-by-play is Mr. Ken Wilson.
All right, Mike Shannon, we're set to go, and you pointed it out. There's a feeling of excitement as Danny Cox's first pitch is low to Tim Raines, ball one. We're underway. Big three-game series, the Cardinals and the Expos. And many thought at this stage that the Expos would be right in the hunt, and of course they're just a spoiler now. Here's the next pitch, a change, and it's inside, 2-0. Raines, Law, and Dawson here in the first inning. The Expos really coming to town limping. They've lost 3 in a row, and they've lost more than 3 players. A lot of injuries. Fastball stroke to left center in the gap. Long run for Coleman racing over. He won't get to it. It's over his head. At the 383 mark, off the wall, and into second with a double is Tim Raines. So Raines, who has hit .379 in the last 25 games, showing signs, Mike Shannon, of continuing his hot hitting here this weekend.
Yeah, he's been on base better than second base 50% of the time in his last 30, and he just keeps rolling along. He's putting together another fine season. We mentioned the stolen base total of 60. He's also hit 9 home runs, driven home 35, and that will up his .314 batting average, and Danny Cox is in first inning trouble.
Vance Law is the hitter. He's hitting .259, 9 homers, 46 RBIs. He's a right-handed batter against the right-hander Danny Cox. First pitch, a high fastball, ball one. And one thing about Vance Law, he is very patient. He's drawn a lot of walks. The outfield shades him slightly to right. And the 1-0 is swung on and missed, 1-1. Coleman in left, McGee in center, Clark in right. The third baseman even with a bag, Pendleton. Smith at short, Kerr at second, halfway. And the first baseman is Cesar Cedeno. Cox and Nieto the battery. The 1-1 is bunted along the first baseline. That'll move the runner up. Cox fields, tags Vance Law, and the sacrifice done perfectly. It's 1 unassisted. Raines at third with 1 out.
Batting third, number 10, right fielder Andre Dawson.
That'll bring up Andre Dawson. Of all of the Expo regulars, Dawson right now is struggling with a bat more than any of them. His season statistics, .248, 15 homers, 71 RBIs. Not all bad, but certainly just a shallow portion of what he was doing a few years ago, and not quite the same Andre Dawson we saw 2 or 3 seasons back. First pitch to Andre, a fastball, strike call. The infield with 1 out is playing back, and of course Raines has the brilliant speed. The next pitch, a slider, strike. On the outside corner, Dawson was interested, checked his swing, and up with the right arm went the plate umpire, Dick Stello. Two strikes on Dawson. 1 out, Raines at third. Breaking ball. He tries to check his swing, but he doesn't. Dawson goes around. They get the appeal from Bruce Fleming. A key strikeout for Danny Cox.
Big one with a man at third, less than 2 outs. That's what you want, to strike out on the pop-up. And Danny Cox really went after Dawson. Took care of him in a big hurry, and that'll bring in Hubie Brooks. What a season he's put together. He has 93 RBIs, and he'll be the first shortstop since Ernie Banks way back in 1960 to reach the 100 plateau if he can just add 7 more.
Hubie takes a breaking ball low and outside, 1-0. He's a right-handed hitter, facing Cox with 2 outs in the first. Fastball strike on the inside corner, 1-1. Now 1-2, and Cox with very good stuff here in the first inning.
He's got himself in a hole. He's just reaching back, rearing back, and coming with a little extra at this point. That was some fastball.
Raines leads from third. The 1-2 delivery. A breaking ball. He threw the bat at it. Brooks hits the tripler to her. Over to Cedeno, and the side is out. And Cox throwing the fastball and really handcuffing Dawson and Brooks with a breaking pitches. And in the first inning for Montreal, no runs, 1 hit. They leave a runner at third, no Cardinal errors. After half an inning, the Expos nothing. The Cardinals coming up.
The St. Louis Cardinals, with a total of 15 games remaining, on the road, 3 at Montreal. That'll be September 27th, 28th, and 29th, and 13 at home. So the Cardinals, as far as the race is concerned and as far as being home is concerned, certainly have an advantage over the New York Mets. 13 of those 16 games will be at home, 3 against Montreal, 2 against Pittsburgh, 2 against Philadelphia, and a big 3-game series against New York, October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and a series that very well could decide the National League East. Then St. Louis finishes against Chicago for 3 games. New York, with 10 of its 16 games on the road, they'll have 2 at Chicago, 2 at Philadelphia, 3 at Pittsburgh, and 3 at St. Louis. The 6 home games, 3 against Pittsburgh and 3 against Montreal. So looking at it from the standpoint of home and away, St. Louis with 13 of its 16 games remaining at home.
Well, the Mets came up with 2 runs at Pittsburgh, and after 1 inning, they lead the Buccos 2-0. It's Russell against Darling in that one. Darling's after his 17th. Russell is 13-7 coming in. The broadcast tonight is authorized under broadcasting rights granted by the St. Louis National Baseball Club Incorporated. It is solely for the entertainment of our listening audience, and any publication, rebroadcast, or other use of the description and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the St. Louis National Baseball Club Incorporated is prohibited. The Redbirds have their hands full. The Mets, it appears, are going to continue to go right on down the line, and it looks like it's a make or break season for both ball clubs when they come in here on October 1, 2, and 3. We'll remind you one more time that tomorrow's game is a day game. It's scheduled at night, but they've switched it. It'll be a 12:20 start. The dugout show is 12:05, and the play-by-play is 12:15. That's tomorrow with Gullickson and John Tudor going for his 20th of the year here at 12:20 tomorrow afternoon. Here come the Cardinals. Third big group, Coleman, McGee, Herr, and Coleman leads off for the first, and he takes a pitch outside from the left-hander, Dan Schatzeder. Coleman hitting .273, a homer, 33 RBIs, and up there right-handed. Wallach is in close at third. The wind in the pitch, breaking ball low and inside. And Schatzeder quickly behind on Coleman, 2-0. In the 6-3 loss at Philadelphia last night, Coleman, McGee, and Herr had trouble getting on base. Here's one at the knees, 2-1 on Vince. Al Lanier coaching at third, Nick Leyva at first. The lefty deals and a foul fly hit out of play off to the right, 2-2. If you just joined us, Tim Raines led off the game with a double to left center in the first. He was sacrificed to third by Vance Law. But then Danny Cox came right back to strike out Andre Dawson and get Hubie Brooks to roll out to Tommy Herr. The Cardinals seeing what they can do here in their half of the first. And Coleman rips and pops the ball up off first foul near the crowd. Francona, he's got room and he makes the catch. Just an arm's reach from the first row of seats. 1 out. The Redbirds on that trip that ended last night in Philadelphia, going 8-3. Now, one of the big stars of the trip, and of course the entire season, the man getting a big hand as he digs in, Willie McGee. Willie leading the league at .359.
He rips and pounds the grounder right to Vance Law. The second baseman throw to Francona, and on one pitch, McGee is down, and they're 2 away.
Getting third, number 28, second baseman.
Schatzader is making his 13th start, his 22nd appearance. He's 2-5 with a 3.86 ERA. He came off the disabled list when the roster was able to increase, and he's made a couple of starts. As his skipper, Buck Rogers, says, I just have to grade him fair. Nothing exceptional in the 2 outings thus far. Tom Herr, with an exceptional season, 100 RBIs, looks at a strike, a fastball around the letters. Tommy with the 5 homers to go along with 100 runs batted in, and hitting .311. So he's among the top 10 in batting. Schatzader back in, and a change low. 1 ball, 1 strike.
How about some good news? At New York, the Pirates are batting. They have 2 runs in, 2 on, 1 out, and the score is tied. Come on, you buccos.
Pittsburgh's Pirates, of course, lingering in the cellar in the East, but a chance to really help the Cardinals this weekend. Fastball away, 2-1 on her. Schatzader has been around. He's 30 years old. He has a pitch that looks like a change, and it's really a misnomer to call it that. He really throws a knuckle curve that he's thrown since he was in high school, along with his fastball, slider, and a straight change. Fastball and a comebacker. Third down the line. Schatzader throws to first, and the left-hander, Dan Schatzader, retires Coleman, McGee, and Herr without the ball leaving the infield. And after an inning at Busch Stadium before another big crowd, it's Montreal nothing, the Redbirds no score.
The Kansas City Royals say they have extended manager Dick Houser's contract through the 1988 season. Houser, who's 49, is in the second year of his current contract, which runs through the 1986 season. He met with Royals Vice Chairman and co-owner Aaron Fogelman and Executive Vice President John Schuerholz earlier Friday to work out the details of the new contract. Houser joined the Royals on August 31st, 1981, after managing the New York Yankees. His career record is .458 and .369, and he has won 2 American League Division titles with the Royals in 1984, and he did it while with the Yankees in 1980. Houser said that back in 1981, he said this is where he wanted to manage, and he says he still feels that way. He says this is an outstanding organization with a tradition of winning and doing things the right way. With the Southwest Conference reeling from 2 fresh recruiting scandals, 8 of the league's 9 teams will play Saturday in the busiest weekend to date in the young 1985 season. Most of the attention will be centered in Austin, College Station, and Manhattan, Texas. The University of Texas will be in the spotlight because the Longhorns finally open the season Saturday night at home against the Missouri Tigers. Texas has been picked as low as 5th this year. That's a rare lack of endorsement for the Longhorns.
Well, the Mets are now batting in the bottom of the second. It's a new game. It's 2-2. They have Darling against Russell.
Here there's no score, and leading off for the Expos in the second inning, Terry Francona, the left-handed hitting first baseman, takes the Cox pitch in there for a strike. Francona, then Wallach and Webster. Terry hitting .273. Here's the pitch, a change, line right to Cox, who steals it, and there's 1 out. Francona kind of hit a little drifting liner, and Cox kind of did a double take. He had so much time to react comparatively. He was falling off towards first, able to throw up the leather and make the play. 1 out.
You either catch those or you head for the emergency room.
Here's Tim Wallach, the power-hitting Montreal third baseman. And he's hit a lot of home runs lately. Fastball cracked over the screen, 1 strike. He has 18 on the year. 6 of them have come in the last 15 games. Wallach at .260, 72 RBI. He rips and fouls this one back over the screen, and he is behind 2 strikes. One out, nobody on. Montreal second, just underway, 0-0. Fastball low and outside, 1-2. The Expos come to town having lost 3 in a row. Breaking pitch, cut on and missed. Second strikeout for Danny Cox, and he has those breaking balls just tantalizing those hitters down and away.
Well, he's got that great slider working for him this year. I've talked to a couple of the more prominent hitters in the National League, one to speak of, Mike Schmidt. And Mike told me that Danny Cox has the best slider that he's seen all season. And that's a pretty high compliment coming from Mr. Schmidt.
There's a slow curve to Mitch Webster. 1 strike. He just takes a look at it. Danny Cox working quickly. Throws a change, and it's looped to center. In there, McGee. He's got it. Well, Danny Cox makes that look easy. Francona, Wallach, and Webster go in order. After an inning and a half, 0-0.
Taking a look at the scoreboard, first in the National League, Pittsburgh and New York. And that ball game 2-2 in the bottom of the second inning. 2 runs in the bottom of the first for New York. The Pirates came back with 2 in the top of the second. Russell against Darling. Chicago and Philadelphia are scoreless through 3 at Philadelphia. Patterson against Hudson. Cincinnati has scored a run in the top of the first inning. And so Cincinnati is leading that ball game by the score of 1-0, still batting in the first inning as Cincinnati playing at Houston. Later, Atlanta will be at San Diego, and Los Angeles will be playing at San Francisco. So that's a look at what's going on at the moment in the National League. In the American League, Detroit and Boston are in the bottom of the 4th inning at Fenway, and Detroit leading 2-1. Milwaukee and Toronto are in the bottom of the 5th inning at Toronto, and Toronto is leading the Brewers by the score of 3-1. The Yankees are losing to Baltimore 2-1 after 2 at Memorial Stadium. Bordy against Flanagan. Oakland did not score in the top half of the first inning at Chicago. John against Bannister. And Seattle did not score in the top of the first inning at Texas. Later, Cleveland will be at California. So that's a look at the baseball scoreboard at the moment. We'll be keeping you right up to date with what's going on in Major League Baseball, and there's some very close baseball races going on. And we'll be taking a look ahead for you also to let you know what's coming up on the schedule. Okay, let's get back to Memorial Stadium in St. Louis, the Montreal Expos, and the St. Louis Cardinals.
Two of the great college soccer teams that are annually the best will knock heads here on Friday night. Jack Clark leads off. The first pitch low, ball 1. Boy, what a welcome Clark gets back. What a welcome sight it is to see him in the lineup. Fastball, and it misses. 2-0. Shots hitter working on Clark. Then Cedeno and Pendleton here in inning 2. No score. What a return last night in Philadelphia for Jack Clark. 2 walks, 2 hits, 2 runs scored. They play 3 infielders in the left side. He fouls it out of play, and a nice catch by a fan. 2-1. Wallach, Brooks, and the second baseman Vance Law are all on the left field side of second base. That leaves Francona with a lot of room to cover on the right side. Clark takes a fastball outside, 3-1. After 2, the Pirates bat at Shea Stadium. 2-2. Here, no score. Expos Cards. Second inning. High fastball to Clark. He draws a walk. He's come to the plate since returning from an injury that put him on the sidelines back on the 23rd of August. 5 times. And he has reached base 5 times. And one of the real pleasant follow-ups to the injury to Clark is the fact that the Cardinals had to go out and make a deal. They picked up Cesar Cedeno, and a lot of people, Mike Shannon, now think that with Clark and Cedeno in there together, that could be the difference that puts the Cardinals over the top. Well, they had the M&M boys. We've got the C&C boys.
Cedeno, a right-handed hitter in his 19th game as a Cardinal. Schatzeder's pitch, breaking ball in at the knees. Strike one. Clark at first, held on by Francona. The rest of the infield in double play depth. Schatzeder delivers. Ground ball right at Wallach. Could be two. Over to Wall. That's one. On to first. Double play. Around the horn. 5, 4, 3. That gets Schatzeder out of trouble in a hurry, and now he'll face Terry Pendleton. Terry coming in, hitting .233, 5 homers, 60 RBI. He's up there right-handed in the fastball, nips the outside corner, 1 strike. Schatzeder, the former Tiger and Giant, winds and throws. He comes sidearm, and he's away, 1-1. The defense on Pendleton straight away. High outside, 2-1. So score, bottom of the second. 2 outs, and nobody on for the Redbirds. There's a fastball away, foul to the screen, and the bat slips out of the hands of Pendleton and pinwheels right over to the mouth of the visiting third base dugout. Tomorrow, John Tudor against Bill Gullickson. Game time 12:20. Sunday, Joaquin Andujar against Floyd Yeoman. Game time 1:05. On deck, Ozzie Smith. Pendleton ready to dig into that batter's box. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Schatzeder sends it home, and the pitch swung on and missed, and that'll do it. Pendleton strikes out. First strikeout for Schatzeder. And after 2 innings, there's no score.
In the National League on Thursday, San Diego 11, San Francisco 3, Atlanta and Cincinnati in quite a battle. Cincinnati 15-5 to move within 5.5 games of the Dodgers. Pittsburgh 8, Montreal 6 in 10 innings. New York 5, Chicago 1, Philadelphia 6, St. Louis 3, and Houston over the Dodgers 6-5. So after those games, St. Louis leading New York by 1 game in the East, and the Dodgers 5.5 in front of Cincinnati in the West. In the American League on Thursday, Milwaukee 5, Baltimore 2, Detroit 10, New York 3, California 8, Chicago nothing, and Seattle 6, Kansas City 4 as the Mariners swept that series against the Royals. So after those games, Toronto 5.5 ahead of New York as the Yankees were unable to pick up ground on the idle Blue Jays, and Kansas City and California are dead even for first place in the West, both teams at 82 wins and 64 losses. Both Kansas City and California have 16 games remaining. Kansas City has the break with 10 of those 16 at home, and California will have 6 of those 16 games at home. The home games for California, a 3-game series against Cleveland, which begins later on this Friday night, and then 3 against Chicago. On the road, they'll be playing at Cleveland and Kansas City and Texas.
Mike Shannon is going to tell you about the action in the 3rd inning. There's no score here at Busch Stadium, the Expos and the Redbirds. Before Danny Cox works, let's pause for station identification. This is the St. Louis Cardinals Baseball Network.
This is the Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
Leading off the batting cage, number 18, catcher Mike O'Berry.
Mike O'Berry will lead it off here for Montreal in the 3rd. They picked this youngster up. Their young catcher, Mike Fitzgerald. had knee surgery this morning. Here's a swing and a miss on a good slider, and that evens the count. Michael Barrett, he was with the Reds, bounced around. And he's now at the Expos. Big kid, right-handed batter, swings and lifts it into center field. McGee on the run. He gets there. McGee can do it all. What a center field. Tough play for him, but he got a good jump, and he came in with that flashing speed of his and robbed the Montreal catcher of a base hit. Well, up in St. John's Hospital in Springfield, Illinois, very good Cardinal fan recovering from an illness up there, and we'd like to wish a very speedy recovery to Gordon McLaren. He's up in St. John's in Springfield, Illinois, and get well very soon. Gordon, come on down. First one to the pitcher, Dan Schatzeder, is the ball. This guy's a good hitter. Bats left, takes it low, 2-0. He already has a home run this year. Then he's driven home 3. He's batting 1-6-0. Slammed to hit to left on a 2-0 pitch. He looks at a sizzling fastball into the knees. Danny Cox is on tonight. He gave up a double to the leadoff man, Raines, and since then he's set him down. Here's a little tap foul that goes off to the right. 7 in a row retired by the Cardinal hurler. He's after his 17th win of the season. Here tomorrow afternoon, John Tudor will be shooting for number 20. He'll be opposed by the big right-hander, Bill Gullickson. Gullickson's 13-11. Cox fell behind 2-0. Now it's a 2-2. Headed homeward. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. He threw it right by him. His third strikeout in 8 in a row. Well, over in Valmara, they're going to have their annual St. Mary's Chicken Dinner. It'll be Sunday, the 22nd of September, from noon until 6. It's a That's Sunday, the 22nd. The leadoff man, Raines, ducks back from a fastball right up around his chin. He was running out of the box in a bunt. Mr. Cox had something else on his mind. That was dusting him off. So Timmy takes a deep sigh of relief. Takes a little time before he gets back in. And he's set. Glad he still has all parts of his body. Next delivery. Change up, swinging a foul out of play. 1-1. They give Raines right center. They're very deep in the outfield. The 1-1. Breaking ball, a little low. Dick Stello's the home plate umpire. Our buddy Bruce Fremmings at first. Davidson down at second, and the senior member of the staff, John Kibler's over at third. Nobody on, 2 down, third inning action, scoreless game. Raines takes the bunt and takes the change up high. 3-1. Raines has been on a tear. In his last 3 weeks, he's batting right at the 400 mark. Switch hitter, digs in from the left side, 3-1 offering. Is over but low. So there's the first walk, and that breaks the string of 8 in a row. Raines is the only one that's been able to reach against Danny Cox. It'll bring in the second baseman, Vance Law. He sacrificed his first time. Check that other baseball. We gave you that Pirate Met score. It's 2-2 in the third. That's New York. Chicago's playing at Philadelphia tonight. They're in the 4th inning, and Ryan Sandberg's just hit a 2-run homer. It's his 24th homer of the season. Now the inning's over, and it's 2-0 Cubs. Philadelphia coming to bat in the bottom of the 4th. A strike into Vance Law. Cincinnati's at Houston. Reds lead 1-0. They're in the bottom of the 2nd. Tibbs against Ryan. Atlanta plays out in San Diego against the Padres, and the Dodgers or at San Francisco with Valenzuela against Mason. In the bottom of the third now at Shea Stadium, 2-2 game. Law takes the slider. It's a beauty. Strike called outside corner. We'll run over the American League action for you in the bottom of this third inning. Infield back, outfield the same. Big gap in left center. Danny Cox checks on range. He's not running. A slider is outside. Ball one. Big hello to Mamie Bustick. She's 91 years old. Listens every night. Throw to first, Raines back safely. Law has an open stance. He's ready. Cox brings it to him. Outside again with that slider, and it's 2-2. Law has put together a heck of a season. He's up in the top 10 in walks. Batting .259. 9 home runs and 46 RBIs. Very respectable for a number 2 man. Raines has showed no signs of wanting to steal. He's at first with 2 down. So Daniel holds against him. As Danny gets the sign, he checks. Now pitches. Raines goes, swinging a foul out of play. He'll have to come back and do it again. In the American League, Milwaukee's playing at Toronto tonight. They're in the bottom of the 6th. Molitor has a home run for the Brewers, his 10th of the season. But the Blue Jays lead 3-1, and they're batting in the bottom of the 6th. Detroit at Boston tonight. Chet Lemon has a home run, his 16th of the season. And the Tigers lead the Red Sox 2-1. They're in the 6th inning. Baltimore on top of the Yankees 2-1. They're in the 3rd. Oakland at Chicago, scoreless after 1. Minnesota's at Kansas City a little later on. Cleveland at California the same. Here's a swing and another foul out of play into the seats. Count remains 2-2, and Raines was on the move again. Seattle's at Texas. Presley's just homered his 28th of the season. The 2-run shot in the second and puts Seattle on top of the Rangers 2-0. They're still batting. That ball game at Kansas City, where the Twins are playing, has been delayed because of rain. It's Blyleven against Charlie Leibrandt. Here's a throw to first, and back just in time. It's Tim Raines. Cox trying to dispose of Law. Another throw to first. Nothing doing. Law sacrificed his first time in there, but Raines was stranded. Another throw over there, a wild throw, and Raines is going to wind up all the way on the third. He rounds second and goes over there easily without a play. Clark gets it back to the infield. It'll be an error on Danny Cox. So instead of a man being at first with 2 outs, Tim Raines is over at third. Cardinals are on the receiving end of that kind of play because of their speed, and now they get a taste of their own medicine.
Well, the best news of this error is the fact that there are already 2 outs, which reduces the possibilities a little bit for Montreal. But that's what a lot of people will criticize. You keep throwing over. You're just increasing the opportunity for mistake. And a lot of pitching coaches will tell you that there are easier ways to keep a runner close than continually throwing to first base.
Raines was stranded at third in the first. He's there in the third. Here's a slider. Outside and high, and it's a full count now. Nieto had a little trouble trying to glove that breaking ball. Andre Dawson waits next. Infield very deep. The 3-2 delivery. Coming home. Swing and a miss. He got him with the slider. He was persistent. Danny picks up his 4th strikeout, and Tim Raines is stranded over at third for the 2nd time tonight. In the inning, no runs, 1 error, 1 left. No hit after 2.5. Nothing.
We were talking earlier about the Southwest Conference and the University of Texas in the spotlight because the Longhorns will be opening their season Saturday night at home against Missouri. However, most of the attention in the conference is focused on Texas A&M and TCU. Those schools having found their way into the headlines this week for off-the-field activities. The newest recruiting mess struck TCU Thursday night, and when the Horned Frogs headed north on Friday for a meeting with Kansas State, they did so without 6 standout players. All 6, running back Kenneth Davis, free safety Egypt Allen, strong safety Marvin Foster, defensive end Gary Spann, linebacker Gerald Taylor, and defensive tackle Darren Turner were dismissed from the team for accepting cash from an alumnus. Texas A&M, meanwhile, plays its first game at home against Northeast Louisiana, with that contest being played under the shadow of reports concerning quarterback Kevin Murray.
This ball game moves to the bottom of the third inning. Tim Raines has been on twice for the Expos. He doubled in the first, was stranded at third after being sacrificed to third. He walked in the third inning, and on a Danny Cox errant pickoff attempt went from first to third. And that has been it for the Montreal offense. As for the Redbirds, Jack Clark's the only base runner. He led off the second with a walk and was quickly erased when Cedeno hit into a double play. And it'll be the bottom third of the order here in inning 3 against Dan Schatzeder.
Ozzie Smith, in his last 14 games, has been over the 300 mark, 318 to be exact. Comes in batting .269. From the right side, he looks at a change. It's a little high, ball 1. They're straight away everywhere, except at the corners. They cheat in just a bit. The lefty pumps. Ozzie pops his foul into the seat. That evens the count at 1-1. They don't forget about the stadium run. This year, the 6.2-mile race will be on Sunday, September the 22nd. Prior to the 1:15 game against these Expos, the run begins outside the stadium and winds up inside on the field. That's this Sunday. Here's a fast wind low, 2-1. Ozzie digs in. He's hit 5 home runs off from the right side. 2-1 delivery. Upstairs again, ball 3. That's it. He's walked 1. He's fanned 1. He's given the Cardinals new hit after 3. The Pirates 2. The Mets 2. Here we're scoreless in the third as Ozzie takes a look at ball 4 low. The leadoff walk will bring in Tom Nieto. Let's see if the Redbirds want to use the hit and run. Danny Cox has helped himself this season. He's batting .167, but he has 12 hits and 6 runs batted in. He's the on-deck man. Infielders come in for the double play ball. Outfielders are deep straightaway. They bunch Nieto, give him both the left and right field line. The Redbirds have had a tough time with this Montreal club this season. They've won only 3 of 12 meetings. Throw to first. Ozzie has to really scamper back. He has a big lead. Both feet out of the sliding pit. Nieto waits. Shot to the check. Now pitch. He's going to bunt. It's the Judy down the third base line. Wallach gloves, throws. He gets him, but down to second base goes Ozzie Smith. The sacrifice is good. It goes 5-3. That'll bring in Danny Cox. Danny's had trouble with this Expo club this season. 0-1. Last year he was 1-1, and he's 1-3 lifetime. Check and a pitch. Danny takes the breaking ball low, ball 1. They're in at first and third for some reason. Back at short and second. Ozzie's at second base, 1 out. We're in the third. Cards have a chance to get on top. The lefty brings it home. Danny swings and fouls it straight back. The scorer is not going to give Tom Nieto a sacrifice. That may be as ridiculous as we've seen some of his calls this season. You believe that? I was coming. Just give me one good reason why that's not a sacrifice. Nobody out. And he bunts. There's a strike. Good let up. Into Danny Cox.
There is an argument to be made the other way, but let us say that argument is not as good as the argument for giving him a sacrifice.
Here's the next to the Redbird hurler. Ozzie stealing, swinging a miss. Safe at third. Ozzie safe. He steals third. Danny Cox strikes out. But it's still important because Vince Coleman is walking in. The strikeout, the second, for Schatz at it. And the stolen base for Ozzie is 26th of the season.
Well, what a heads-up play that is, and the point well taken. Coleman so often just puts the ball in play, beats it out, and in this case, that means a run.
The infielders have to cheat in a bit. Wallach is even with the base at third. Francona about 2 steps behind his base at first. From the belt, the pitch to Vince, swinging a ground ball to the shortstop. Big hop. And the throw in plenty of time. And the Redbirds stand their first base runner of the night. No runs are hit. A walk and a man left. After 3, the Expos nothing. The Cardinals nothing.
Now this ABC News brief. The number of people killed in Mexico's devastating earthquake could reach as high as 4,000. At least 1,000 people are known dead. Rescuers are digging through debris in Mexico City as they try to locate bodies and possible survivors. 2 missing American vacationers are feared dead in the rubble of a collapsed hotel. Millions of Hispanics in Southern California have been scrambling to learn the fate of their loved ones in Mexico. Vice President Bush has told relatives of the 6 Americans still being held captive in Lebanon that the U.S. is willing to talk with the kidnappers but remains opposed to considering their demands for release of the hostages. The Soviet Secret Service in Moscow has announced the arrest of a Russian citizen it claims spied for the CIA and passed military information to a U.S. diplomat. Senate tax writers have reached a compromise with tobacco state lawmakers and will extend the 16-cent a pack federal tax on cigarettes. Senate Finance Committee also agreed to approve a major reform of the tobacco farming subsidy program. From ABC News, I'm Bob House.
On the scoreboard, in the American League, Detroit 2, Boston 1, top of the 6th inning at Boston. Top of the 7th at Toronto, it's the Blue Jays 3, Milwaukee 1. The Yankees and Baltimore are tied at 2-2, bottom of the 3rd at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. Chicago and Oakland, no score in the 2nd. Kansas City just underway at Minnesota. It's Seattle and Texas. Seattle leads that game 2-0, bottom of the 2nd inning.
At Shea Stadium, bottom of the 4th now, the Pirates 2 and the Mets 2. Well, don't forget, coming up, the Cardinals' annual Fan Appreciation Day. It'll be held on Sunday, October the 6th, and well, it's one game you should get tickets for as early as possible. It figures to be a sellout, and the Redbirds will play their biggest division rivals, the Cubs. That's the 1:15 game, October 6th. And all fans with a paid admission will receive a free reserve seat gift card, good for any 1986 home game after opening day. Could be the hottest game of the year. Don't waste another minute. Buy your tickets now for Fan Appreciation Day.
Dawson leads it off here in the Montreal 4th, and he's Tommy-Huck. A high fastball way out of here, but it is foul, way foul. Dawson struck out his first time. He's hit 15 homers. Pitch to him is a fastball inside, 1-1. Big hello to Bill, and there's Martin. They're down in New Berlin, Illinois. Dawson swings and pops the next one off of Tom Nieto's mask. Strike 2. Dawson's had 2 murderous rips. He is all primed for the slider on a straight change. Unless Danny wants to waste one. Here's the next. Fastball struck him out, man. He just reared back and said, here, you want some fastball? You want some heat? Have all you want, up and in. Whew. He's sharp tonight, Kenny.
Everybody in America, and especially Andre Dawson, would have figured here comes a breaking pitch down and away, maybe even the off-speed curve a foot outside. Well, the last thing you could be prepared to hit is the express, and he got it. Danny Cox is very much on his game. He is in command.
Yuli Brooks grounded to the second baseman his first trip. Slider to him is swinging a pop-up on the infield. Ozzie says he'll handle, and the sure man does. 2 down. Well, Cox has stepped down 8 in a row before he walked Raines in the third. Now he's retired the next 3, and it brings in Terry Francona, the first baseman. Terry is the son of the former American League outfielder and Cardinal player, Tito Francona. He wore that Redbird uniform for a couple of seasons and did well. Now his son, Terry, in the big show for the Expos. Left-handed batter jumps back from the fastball right in on his hand. Ball 1. They're straight away everywhere. Change up, swinging a little ground ball down the first base line. Danny gets to it in fair territory just in time. Flip to Cedeno, and they get the put out. 3-1. Very alert play by Danny Cox in an argument by Terry Francona to the home plate umpire, Dick Stello, but he's going to lose it. It's 3 up, 3 down. We go to the bottom half of the fourth. The Redbirds come in. No score.
Continuing our check of the scoreboard, and we can update that Boston-Detroit game is now in the top of the 7th. Boston and Detroit are tied at 2-2. Toronto continues to lead Milwaukee at 3-1. Toronto in the bottom of the 7th inning. New York is playing at Baltimore. That game is now in the top of the 4th, still tied at 2-2. Bottom of the 2nd at Chicago, it's the White Sox 3, the A's nothing. Bottom of the 1st inning at Kansas City, it's the Twins nothing, Kansas City coming to bat. And in the top of the 3rd inning at Arlington, it's the Rangers 3, Seattle 2. Cleveland is playing at California. In the National League, New York and Pittsburgh are tied at 2-2, bottom of the 4th inning at Shea Stadium. At Philadelphia, it's the Cubs 2, Philadelphia nothing, bottom of the 5th inning. It's the top of the 3rd inning at Houston, and Cincinnati is leading Houston 1-0.
Good crowd here this evening, and they're still filing in. They're from foul pole to foul pole. Bill Kahneman up from way down in Chester, Illinois. He's here rooting for the Redbirds tonight, and he's not rooting hard enough. Well, let's see what happens here in the 4th. The Redbirds have the right guys, McGee, Herr, and Clark. The 2, 3, and 4 men. Dan Schatzetter's coming off the disabled list, and he's been strong in the early going. Cardinals are yet to get a hit off of him. He's fanned 2, walked 2. Had a double play behind him. Granted Ozzie at 3rd in the 3rd. And Willie McGee leads it off here in the Redbirds 4th. Willie's hit safely in 9 of his last 10. 392 during that clip. And he's on top of the National League. Came in batting .359 tonight. From the right side, he hits first pitch. Upstairs, ball 1. Straight away and deep in the outfield. Infielders ski in a bit on the left side. Also a step or 2 on the right side. Next delivery is a change-up just outside, ball 2. Willie has hit 10 home runs this season. On a 2-0 delivery, he takes a fast one inside low, ball 3. Let's see if Willie's taking on 3-0. Here it is. He is, and it's ball 4 high outside. 3rd walk issued by Dan Schatzeder, the left-hander, 6-footer, 200-pounder from Elmhurst, Illinois. Now lives out in Colorado. 7-7 last year with the Expos, with 2.71 ERA. This year he's 2-5. And that'll bring in Tommy Herr. Herr has 100 RBIs. He got that one last night in Philadelphia. He's only the third second baseman in Cardinal history to have that many RBIs. He joins the ranks of Frankie Frisch and Rogers Hornsby. That's exclusive company. He waits. The lefty checks and pitches. Fastball is a strike. In at the letter. The only other two Cardinal second basemen to reach the 100 plateau, Frankie Frisch and Rogers Hornsby. Add Tommy Hurt to that list now. 311 the average, 5 home runs, 100 RBIs. A check on McGee, and the throw over there is too late. Willie back easily. Third cap back to the mound, his first trip. Clark is next. We're in the fourth. Only one hit on the board. That's owned by Tim Raines of the Expos. McGee with a leadoff walk takes the lead. That's it, a check. Now throws over there again. Back safely. That was pretty close to a bunt. Wallach, Brooks, Law, Francona shortened up for the DP. Montreal's turned one tonight. Big crowd tries to whip it up. Herr gets back in. He's ready. And here's the 0-1 delivery. Inside, a curveball, misses low, evens the count. Tomorrow, 12:05 the dugout time, Gullickson and Tudor. It's a day game tomorrow. The play-by-play at 12:15. Hello to the folks down in Mayfield, Kentucky. They listen in on WYMC. Good Cardinal country. McGee gets a big lead. Not running, the pitch to her is in at the knees. Strike called, good let-up. And Herr's in a 1-ball, 2-strike situation. Tom takes a little time before he gets back in there. Hubie Brooks is way in at shortstop. McGee's away with his lead, and here's the pitch. Pitch out, nothing doing, 2-2. Fans always get a kick out of that. When there's a pitch out, nothing happens. Better than 30,000 have flocked in here this evening. Willie has shown no signs of wanting to steal. He's already pilfered 48. He draws a throw, and he's back just in time. Here's the next delivery. Her. Takes it low, full count. Now we'll watch to see if McGee wants to move. Redbirds have one stolen base tonight. That was Ozzie Smith in the last inning. And that puts the Cardinals up to 274 now. There's a big gap in left center. If Tommy can get one in there and go to the wall, the Cardinals will take the lead. McGee's at first. Nobody out. Tommy chokes the bat from the right side. He's ready. Goes the lefty. 3-2 delivery. On its way, runner going, swinging a line drive, base hit to left. McGee's going to go to third. They hold him up there, and into second base goes Tommy Herr. Raines through the ball to the wrong base. I don't know whether you heard Tommy Herr, but the reason he did it is he was afraid if he threw to second, McGee would keep on chucking, and he's probably right. But Herr gets a double out of it, and it's second and third. Nobody out.
Very heads-up play by Tommy Herr. He was running. He slowed down a little bit going around first, closely watching Tim Raines coming up with the ball. And you're right, Mike. Raines had to be worried about Willie McGee. However, there was still a chance that the relay man, Hubie Brooks, could have thrown to second, so Herr had to be careful. But the heads-up play really has put the pressure on Montreal.
Now it's Clark digging in. Here's the pitch to the Cardinals slugger. In the dirt. And a heck of a play by O'Berry, the Montreal catcher. That was a good defensive play. It prevents the wild pitch and saves the run. Infield is back. Except Wallach. He's in, except behind the base at third. Looking right down the barrel is Clark. He's ready. The 1-0 pitch. Ball 2 is high.
They certainly don't like to give Jack Clark much to hit. You know they're saying, well, he can't be in the groove because he's been out. But with first base open, the old story, walk doesn't hurt you as much as a 3-run homer.
Jack has hit 21 this year. He's ready. Here's the 2-0 delivery. Right, good tailing, sinking fastball that catches the outside corner at the knees. 2-1. Hubie Brooks is pulled way over in the hole, and he's cheating in. A hard shot. He could take a chance and throw home. The next 2 Clark. Swinging a line drive down the right field line, curves and goes foul. 2. It's 2-2. Since coming off the disabled list and getting back into action, Jack has shown that he'll take that ball the other way. Got a base hit over the second baseman's head last night in Philadelphia, and he was going to ride on that delivery. Gatzitter gets another sign and comes to the belt. Now the 2-2 pitch. Swinging a ground ball to the shortstop. Hubie throws to first. Willie scores, and the Cardinals lead 1-0. So Clark gets the RBI, his 85th of the season, on a ground ball to the shortstop. McGee, with very good base running, comes in and touches the platter before Cedeno hits. Let's pause for station identification. This is the Cardinals Baseball Network.
This is the Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
Cedeno walks in. They have a base open. Third at second, 1 out. Cardinals lead 1-0. 1 run, 1 hit. First pitch to Cesar. Swing and a base hit up the middle. Here comes Kerr. Here's the throw. They may get him. He is safe as they cut it off. 2-0 Redbirds. Cedeno comes through again. Well, he's been something. He's only been in 19 games, and he already has 16 RBIs. Swinging very aggressively, and the confidence just continues to mount up, and Cedeno is definitely on a roll. 2 runs, 2 hits. Pendleton digging in. Cedeno held by Francona. First one to Perry. Swing and another hit up the middle. Cedeno's around second, holds up there. That's the third hit of the inning. And it brings in Ozzie Smith with 2 on, only 1 out. Now the catcher, Mike O'Berry, goes to the mound. He wants to try and settle his hurler. They talk about it. Good, huh? What can I do? Everything I throw up there, they're banging.
And they're ready to go in that Montreal bullpen. Now they'll get somebody up.
Ozzie Smith will try to continue this rally. He walked, stole a base in the third, bats again here in the fourth. Cardinals have banged out 3 hits in this inning. They've had a walk, lead 2-0, and Ozzie takes a change-up in at the knees. It's called strike 1. They're straight away everywhere for the Cardinals switch hitter. Holds it high over the right side. Fastball, swinging a fly ball into deep right center. Center fielder. Now the right fielder takes it, Dawson. And his throw over to third is a strong one, and that keeps both runners stationary at first and second, 2 down.
And that somebody in the Montreal Expo bullpen is the right-hander, Randy St. Clair.
Well, Balbone's up to his old trick. He just hit his 33rd home run of the season over at Kansas City. And it's called the Grand Slam when you have 3 men on. It puts the Royals on top over the Twins 4-0 after 1. A Grand Slam home run by Balbone. Well, the Yankees didn't have the patience to wait. The Royals did, and it's paid off.
Did a lot of home runs in September, hasn't he?
Here's a throw to first. Pendleton gets back safely. Two on, two out with Tom Nieto waiting for his first delivery. Here it is. Slider, strike at the knee. Redbirds lead it 2-0. We're in the 4th. They're still tied. The Pirates and the Mets, 2-2 in the bottom of the 5th at Shea Stadium. Nieto looks to the let-up. It's low. It's 1-1. McGee started this rally with a leadoff walk. Hurd doubled into the left field corner. Clark drove home Willie with a ground ball to short. Cedeno singled up the middle. Hurd scored. Pendleton singled. Smith flied out, and now Nieto swings and lines one out of play off to the right. And he's in the hole, 1-2. Well, most of the crowd has arrived. Bleacher fans are here in force tonight, both in left and right. They're jammed out there. And upwards of 30 grand here. These Redbird fans have flocked out to see this very exciting baseball team. They lead the Mets by 1 game coming in tonight. The pitch to Nieto. Swinging a foul back behind home plate. Staying customers scramble for the souvenir. Cardinals have won 90 times this season. Trying for victory number 91. The runner goes. Pitch is high, the throw to second, and Pendleton's cut down. Very good play by Mike O'Berry. He caught Pendleton sleeping a bit. Cedeno was moving off of second. Perry got a late break off of first, and he's cut down going into second base. And that takes care of the Redbird rally here in the 4th. 2 runs, 3 hits, a walk, a man out stealing, 1 left. Cards stranded 2. We've played 4, and the Cardinals lead Montreal 2-0.
Former heavyweight champion Ken Norton told the House subcommittee that boxers often cannot cope with the days after their ring careers are over. He said that he was very fortunate. He says, but what about some of the other guys? And he said he made those comments questioning and testifying before a subcommittee considering boxing reform regulation. And the question that they were all talking about was, what happens when an individual retires? Norton suggested that a percentage of each fighter's purse be taken and put aside for use by needy former fighters. The former champion also has an endorsement corporation to oversee the American boxing industry, and Williams-Masha would establish a quasi-public government corporation modeled after the U.S. Olympic Committee to regulate the American fight game and establish safety procedures for the sport. Longtime Nevada boxing physician Dr. Donald Romero opposes the bill. He told the subcommittee the federal government should stay away. Romero, who said he has attended more than 9,000 fights since 1963, called Williams' effort an admirable attempt, but the timing is not right. He says he can think of many other areas where governmental money could be spent. Sig Rojek, chairman of the Nevada State Athletic Commission and international vice president of the World Boxing Council, agreed with Romeo. He says, I don't favor full-time establishment of a National Boxing Commission. Now, remember what I said, because I'm going to come back. In the USA Today was an interview, and we'll talk about that next time.
Danny Cox, ready on the mound. He has pitched superbly. The only Montreal Expo to reach base through the first 4 innings, Tim Raines, with a double and a walk. And Tim Wallach will lead off the 5th inning. Danny Cox has retired 12 of the last 13 Expos hitters. Wallach struck out in the second inning. He takes a breaking ball. Strike one called. Wallach just turned 28. He's from Southern California. Stands deep in the right-handed batter's box. Here's another breaking pitch. Knee high, strike two call. Wallach played his college ball at Cal State Fullerton. Led them to an NCAA title. Fastball low and outside. Just missing. 1-2. Nothing. Cardinals in the fifth. Breaking ball grounded deep at third. Backhanded by Pendleton. Spins. Throws. He gets it. What a play. He did a 360. Gary Pendleton. Skimming grounder between Pendleton and the bag at third. And Pendleton took extra bases away from Tim Wallach. Here's Mitch Webster. He's a switch-hitting center fielder who started the year with the Toronto Blue Jays. He flied to center in the second inning. Fastball outside, ball one. Big Danny Cox has his sign from Tom Nieto. The pitch on the way. Change, swing, and a miss. 1-1. Danny Cox trying to pick up a big birthday present today. He celebrates birthday number 26 tomorrow. Change, strike on the outside corner. 1-2. So tomorrow really a day of rest for him, and he can really have a big celebration if he can pick up number 17 in the win column here tonight. Webster up there left-handed. Swings at a breaking ball, and he's gone. Big, sharp curve, and Webster just had a wave. He had committed himself, and it was too late to stop. Already a half dozen strikeouts for Danny Cox, working on a one-hit shutout with two away in the fifth and facing Mike O'Berry. O'Berry, the veteran right-handed hitting catcher. Fly to center in the third inning. Fastball grounded in the hole left side. He has a base hit. The second Montreal hit. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Rick Perriguet are here from Sedalia, and they want to say hello to their son Clint back home. They're here enjoying the Redbirds action at Busch Stadium. Here's Dan Schatzeder. The Montreal pitcher went down swinging in the third inning. Two outs, O'Berry at first. Cedeno will play behind him. Schatzeder, a left-handed hitter. Fastball, he screamed it. It could be. Clark back. Gone. A two-run homer. The second homer of the year for Dan Schatzeder. And all of a sudden, it's a 2-2 ball game. Well, Schatzeder, who hit over 300 in his college career at Denver University, and who came into the 85 season with a lifetime 244 big league average, just jumped all over the first pitch from Danny Cox. And the Cardinal right-hander out there shaking his head, and everybody within hearing distance saying he made a mistake. He got one up, and Schatzeder just gave it a ride, a letter-high pitch that just carried over the right field wall. And it all happens with two outs here in the fifth inning. Tim Raines, the batter. He has doubled and walked. Fastball fouled back. One strike. That's 19 home runs that Danny Cox has given up in 33 starts. 2-2 in the fifth. Low to Raines, 1-1. Pennant race time, and you just go out and try to win every ball game. You can't really worry that much about the Mets, but you then can't turn away from the scoreboard. It's tough not to watch. Change low. 2 balls a strike on Raines. And certainly for observers, it's tough not to look ahead and think of the championship series and the possibility of a World Series here in St. Louis. Change curve tight. 3 balls a strike. Not that we would scoreboard watch, but in the bottom of the 6th inning at Shea Stadium, still Pittsburgh 2, New York 2. Bottom of inning number 6. 3-1 pitch, low, and Raines draws a walk. He has been aboard 3 straight times. And with 2 outs, Danny Cox has run into a heap of trouble here in the 5th inning. Nieto calls time and goes out to the mound. Cox has walked 2. He has struck out 6. And he was really helped at the outset of this inning on a superb defensive play by Terry Pendleton on Tim Wallach's ground ball. Or the trouble could be worse. Raines at first. The hitter is Vance Law. He swings and misses. 1 strike. Mark Chapman and Steve Bailey here cheering on the Redbirds and sending good well wishes to Darryl Cope. There goes Raines, and the ball popped up to left field. Under Law's fly ball is Coleman. He gloves it, and the inning is retired. So the Expos gone in the 5th. They get 2 runs on 2 hits. They leave a runner. There were no Cardinal errors. The big blow, pitcher Dan Schatzeder's 2nd home run of the year. And after 4 1/2, Expos 2, Cardinals 2.
Earlier, we're talking about former heavyweight champion Ken Norton talking to a House subcommittee and talking that boxers often cannot cope with the days after their ring careers are over. And some comments about longtime Nevada boxing physician Dr. Donald Romeo, who opposes a possible bill from the government, and also Sid Rozic, who's the chairman of the Nevada State Athletic Commission and international vice president of the World Boxing Council, agrees that he does not favor full-time establishment. Now, these are from boxing people. Now, let's talk about a guy who's been in the ring, Larry Holmes, who was interviewed in the USA Today newspaper on Friday. Couple questions. Number 1. Let's see, where we go. Here we go. Number 1, how do you think the boxing game could be improved? And his answer was regulations, rules, medical examinations, brain scans, doctors that care and are concerned, and commissioners who are concerned and care and are not out just for the money and the prestige. So that's one of the comments from Larry Holmes.
On the mound, he has given himself and his teammates new life. He'll go to work in the bottom of the 5th inning in a 2-2 tie. Tom Nieto leading off for the Cards, and his first pitch from Schatzeder is low, ball 1. Nieto, then the pitcher, Danny Cox, and the top of the order, Vince Coleman. 5th inning, 2-2. Here's a drive in the gap, right center between Webster and Dawson. 1 hop. It bounds into the bleacher seat, and Tom Nieto has a double. A ground rule double for Nieto, leading off the fifth. Always so important if you can come right back after the opposition scores and do some damage yourself. And Danny Cox will be the hitter. Wallach comes to the mound to talk to Schatzeder, expecting that Cox will sacrifice Nieto to third. Here's the set by Schatzeder. Charging is Francona. Wallach charges. The bunt attempt missed. One strike on Danny Cox. Brooks, the shortstop, went to third. Law, the second baseman, went to first as the third baseman Wallach and the first baseman Francona charged. Now the Expos have gotten together to talk over their strategy for this pitch. Cardinal coach Al Lanier comes in and says something to hitter Danny Cox. Cox struck out his first at bat against Schatzeder. We'll see what happens. Wallach is going to charge. Cox ready to swing away, and a breaking ball inside. 1-1. Well, when you show that you might swing away, that gives the third baseman some second thoughts when he's charging in. First of three, a big weekend, and it's 2-2. Bottom of the fifth inning. Expos and Cards. Pickoff at second, they got him. They switch the play. Long with Nieto in a rundown, throws to Brooks. He tags him out. And who says this is not a game of the intelligentsia? Boy, this is a game of thinking all the time. And I don't care if you sit home and listen or if you're at the ballpark. There's so many things to think about on the ball field. It's easy to say, hey, there's nothing happening. But you look at that situation and what wasn't happening? Tom Nieto missed something, and they whirled, picked him off, Water Brooks, 1-4-6. They changed the play. They lulled him to sleep. Cox fouls the pitch out of play, 1-2. A lot of things can happen in a lot of different situations, and they happen quickly. Cox swings and misses the Schatzeder fastball by him, and he's down on strikes, and they're quickly 2 away. And all of a sudden, a leadoff double with nobody out turns to bases empty and 2 gone. Three strikeouts, 3 walks now allowed by Schatzeder. And he'll face leadoff hitter Vince Coleman. Coleman, the rookie, 0 for 2. Schatzeder kicks and serves, and it's high, ball 1. Base is empty, 2 away. Here it comes. It's low, 2-0. Russell against Darling. The Pirates and Mets at Shea Stadium, moving to the 7th inning. 2-2. Here, bottom of the 5th, Expos and Cardinals, 2-2. In the 8th at Philadelphia, the Cubs, behind Reggie Patterson, lead the Phillies 2-0. Thanks to Ryan Sandberg's 2-run homer, his 24th of the year. Coleman takes a high fastball, 3-0. In the 5th at Houston, the Astros lead the Reds 2-1. That's Ryan against Tibbs. Jerry Mumphrey has clubbed his 8th home run of the year for Houston. Here's the 3-0 delivery, and it's low, ball 4. Coleman draws a 2-out walk. Of course, the Houston Astros could be the team that finally put a stop to the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds are rolling. They've closed to within 5.5 games of the Western Division leading Dodgers. But Houston, red hot. They've won 9 in a row, and over their last 21 games, the Astros have gone 18-3. so they could really help the Dodgers. The Dodgers are at San Francisco tonight, and Atlanta is at San Diego. Here, Coleman with 100 steals is at first. McGee is the hitter with 2 outs in the 5th inning. Schottseder from the set, he delivers. Change, strike called over the outside corner. So Vince Coleman in some pretty good company now with 100 steals. Only 3 other players ever have reached the century mark. Side-on pitch, rips to right, a liner over is Dawson. He's got it. And McGee is gone. Of course, the company that Coleman joined, Ricky Henderson, Lou Brock, and Maury Wills. In this instance, Coleman is left at first base, and in the frame, no runs, 1 hit, 1 left, no Montreal errors. This big crowd has seen 5 innings of baseball, and after 5, the Expos and Redbirds tied at 2.
Back to comments by Larry Holmes as to his opinion as to the state of boxing in an interview that appeared in the USA Today newspaper on Friday. And we just bring that up as a counterpoint to what was said earlier by people attending the subcommittee in Washington as far as whether or not the government should get involved in boxing regulation. And Holmes, of course, has been the world heavyweight champion since 1978 when he defeated Ken Norton, who was testifying before that subcommittee on Friday. But in any event, to answer a couple of questions. 1, how has the boxing game changed since your first pro fight? And Holmes' response was that it changed with the politics of boxing, with the rulings of boxing. He said it's pitiful. It's like running for governor or mayor. He said it's not what you know, it's who you know. And the other question, there's been a lot of criticism of boxing. Will it survive? And Holmes says, yes, boxing is always going to survive because it has human interest. He says people like violence. He said they like to see people bleed. He said they like to see that. He said people don't go to see a football game to see a guy score. They want to see a guy get carried out. Now, this is the opinion of Larry Holmes. He says they don't go see a car race see a car win a race to go to see action. He said that's the way it is. He said they go to a rodeo to see a guy get thrown off the horse or stepped on by the bull. He says you can't sell love, you can't sell happiness because people want no part of that. The opinion of boxer Larry Holmes.
Play moves to the 6th inning. Ken Wilson along with Mike Shannon at Busch Stadium. Jack Buck out doing football this weekend. He'll be back on Monday. And here's the first pitch of the inning. It's to Andre Dawson. He checks his swing and the breaking ball in there. It's strike 1. Dawson, Brooks, and Francona for Montreal. The Expos, 2 runs, 3 hits. They have left 2. The Redbirds, 2 runs, 4 hits. They've left 3. Fastball hit deep to left in the corner. Tough play. Coleman going back on the track. He'll stop, play it on 1 hop, but it gets by him off the wall. He runs it down. Dawson turns at second, stops, and he has a double leading off the 6th inning. Well, Coleman looked like he was playing the drive very intelligently. He pulled up short of the track. The ball hit at the base of the blue wall, about 15 feet there. But somehow it caromed by him. He apparently got too close to the wall, and by the time he could run it down, he was fortunate to hold Dawson to a double. And the Expos with 4 hits. Here's Hubie Brooks, Mr. RBI with 93. He's right up among the league leaders. He's 0 for 2. Fastball strike, knee high in the outside corner. Brooks has not hit a lick against the Cardinals this year. Swing and a miss, badly fooled by a breaking ball. 2 strikes. Breaking ball, swung on and missed. And Danny Cox makes quick work of Hubie Brooks. Cox has struck out at least 1 Montreal hitter in every inning. His total is 7. And he faces left-handed hitting Terry Francona. Terry's 0 for 2. He's yet to get the ball out of the infield. Left-handed hitting Expos first baseman. Fastball strike on the outside corner. Let's pause for station identification. This is the St. Louis Cardinals Baseball Network.
This is the Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
Danny Cox works to Francona, and the count goes to a ball and a strike. 2-2, sixth inning. Dawson at second. Cox takes a look that way and sends it home. And the ball lined to right, a base hit. Dawson to third. They're going to wave him in. Clark, here's his throw, high over the catcher. Dawson slides in safely as Cox backs it up, and into second goes Francona. An RBI single. That's the 30th RBI of the year for Francona. It gives the Expos a 3-2 lead. And on the throw home, Francona, in a key move, goes from first to second. Clark charged the ball, did not have a long throw to make. And he just had too much energy and overthrew Nieto about 10 feet over his head. Here's Tim Wallen. He swings and misses. The breaking ball fools him. An off-speed pitch, one strike. Montreal erasing a 2-0 Redbird lead. Wally swings and fouls it at the plate, 2 strikes. Clark charged the ball, did not have a long throw to make. And he just had too much energy and overthrew Nieto about 10 feet over his head. Here's Tim Wallen. He swings and misses. The breaking ball fools him. An off-speed pitch, one strike. Montreal erasing a 2-0 Redbird lead. Wally swings and fouls it at the plate, 2 strikes. Cardinals scored first against Dan Schatzeder in the 4th inning. McGee walked, went to third on a Hurd double. A run scored when Clark grounded out. Another run came in on a Cedeno single, and it was 2-0 Redbirds after 4. But since then, the Expos have come back. Breaking pitch outside, 1-2. Montreal, with 2 outs in the 5th inning, rallied. The 8th hitter, Michael Berry, single, and then pitcher Dan Schatzeder homered to right to tie it at 2. And here in the 6th, the Expos have jumped ahead. 1-2 on the way. Breaking ball hit in the air to left and deep by Wallach. Coleman back. He's at the track. He's got it. And Francona remains at second base. And they're 2 away. Dawson led off here in the inning with a double and with 1 out. Scored from second on Francona's line single to right field. Todd Worrell, the rookie right-hander, working in the bullpen. And the hitter is Mitch Webster, 0 for 2. Webster, who has very good speed, was originally in the Dodger organization. And getting a chance to play mainly because of injuries. A fastball outside, ball 1. One of the many injuries the Expos are experiencing is one to Herm Winningham, their fleet-footed center fielder. He's out with a hamstring injury. Fastball away, 2-0. And they're going to walk Webster here and pitch to Michael Berry. There's a third pitch intentionally outside, and they'll throw a 4th outside to Webster. The crowd is reacting. Good news from New York. The scoreboard shows the Pirates have scored twice, and it is 4-2 Pittsburgh over the Mets. Webster draws an intentional walk. He's at first, Francona at second with 2 outs for Michael Berry, and he's being called back. Doug Frobel, the former Pittsburgh Pirate, will pinch hit. Frobel is a left-handed hitter, and he'll bat here for Michael Berry. The Pirates rally at Shea Stadium and come up with 2 in the 7th. 4-2, Pittsburgh leads New York. Conference on the mound, Pendleton, Smith, Nieto, and Cox. Now Cedeno will join the group at the hill. Now, Doug Frobel has had 18 at-bats with Montreal and a couple of hits. Started the year with Pittsburgh, went to the minors, now back in the big leagues with the Expos. A couple of years ago, Chuck Tanner and the Pirates thought he was going to become a hitting star, and he's had trouble coping with big league pitching. First pitch, swung on and missed. 1 strike on Frobel. Expos 3, Redbirds 2, 6th inning here in St. Louis. Danny Cox with 2 on and 2 outs delivers, and a breaking pitch inside, 1-1. Now another run for the Pirates, still batting in the 7th. It's 5-2 Pittsburgh. Thank you, Pirates. Sal Butera warming up in the bullpen. He'll come in to catch for Montreal in the bottom of the 6th inning. Cox ready to go. Heaves it to the plate, and a slow curve inside. 2-1 on Frobel. Francona at second, Webster at first, and the pitch misses, and Cox falls behind him. Doug Frobel, 3 balls, a strike. Change, swing, and a miss, 3-2. Oh, did he fool Frobel? Tom Gorman has come in to pitch for the Mets at Shea Stadium. The Pirates are still batting with a man on and 2 outs. Swing and a miss, and Cox in a tight spot strikes out the pitch hitter, Doug Frobel. Cox has struck out 8. In the inning, the Expos break the tie with 1 run on 2 hits. They leave 2. There were no errors. And with the Pirates leading the Mets at Shea Stadium 5-2, here at Busch Stadium, going to the Cardinal half of the 6th inning, the Redbirds trail the Montreal Expos 3-2.
Well, no one is close to hitting 45 home runs this season, but in the American League, Darrell Evans of the Detroit Tigers leads with 36, and the Atlanta Braves' Dale Murphy has 37 in the National League. Now, that was kind of a momentous occasion for Murphy because for each of the last 3 seasons, he has hit 36 home runs. So he has 37 in 1985. If Lee Lacy hits 1 more out of the park, he'll become the 10th Baltimore Oriole this season to hit at least 10 home runs. The 9, Cal Ripken, Eddie Murray, Mike Young, Floyd Rayford, Larry Sheets, Wayne Gross, Rick Dempsey, Gary Renicky, and Fred Lynn. If Mike Pagliarulo belts 2 more, he'll become the 5th New York Yankee to hit at least 20 homers this season. The other 4, Don Mattingly, Dave Winfield, Don Baylor, and Ricky Henderson. Evans is the 7th major leaguer to hit at least 30 homers for 3 different teams.
Ken Wilson with Mike Shannon. We're in St. Louis at Busch Stadium, and let's bring you up to date as to what's been occurring. Here in this contest, ready to go to the bottom of the sixth inning with Tommy Herr leading off. The Eastern Division leading Cards find themselves trailing Montreal 3-2. The good news is, however, that the second place Mets, a game back, are at home trailing Pittsburgh 5-2. Dan Schatzeder, the lefty, because of injuries thrown into the starting rotation of the Expos, has gone all the way. And Danny Cox, fitting to become a 17-game winner tonight, has gone the distance for Whitey Herzog. And a big crowd on a very pleasant night watching this one. Here's Tommy Herr on the first pitch. He takes, it's a strike. Herr is bounced out and doubled. His double came in the two-run fourth. Fastball, strike on the outside corner, and Herr very displeased with a call by Dick Stello. Sal Butera taking over behind the plate here in the bottom of the sixth inning. Help shot there. He kind of drew the glove back into the strike zone. Fastball grounded foul to the third base coach, Hal Lanier, 0-2. Mark on deck, Herr the hitter. Redbirds need a run to tie, 2 to take the lead. And the pitch is low. That was like the knuckle curve that time from Schatzeder. 1-2. He doesn't throw it that often, and that's the kind of spot he'll throw it with a 2-strike count. Schatzeder, both feet on the rubber. He's set to go. His pitch on the way to Herr. Fastball, line, foul. Into the crowd down the right field line. Redbirds trail, sixth inning, heart of the order against Schatzeder. Breaking pitch, and it hits the bat of Herr. And goes foul. 1-2. Catherine and Jessica here at the old ballpark tonight, sending their best wishes to their grandmother Hackett back in Sayre, Missouri. Sidearm curve, Tommy Hawk foul, and down into the Montreal left field bullpen. $33,788 of paid attendance tonight. Herr trying to battle his way on, leading off the sixth inning. He takes high and away, 2-2. In the ballpark, 35,475. Still over 35,000 looking on, hoping that the Redbirds can extend their lead over the Mets to 2 games. Here's a foul back, 2-2 on Herr.
Well, the White Sox are having an inning. They now lead over Oakland 7-0. They're still batting in the fourth.
Herr making Schatzeder throw a lot of pitches. There's a liner down into the right field corner, into the Cardinal bullpen. Foul, 2-2. Redbirds 2 in the fourth. Expos tied it in the fifth on Schatzeder's home run. And then have taken the lead here in the sixth inning, 3-2 on a Dawson double and a Francona run-producing single. Inside a fastball, 3-2 on Herr. Herr out of the box, knocks the dirt from his cleat, steps back in. Here's the pitch, and it's outside, an off-speed pitch. just missing, and Herr leads off with a walk. Schatzeder has walked 5. He has walked the leadoff man in 3. Check it, 4 of the first 6 innings. 4 of the first 6 innings, he has walked the leadoff man. That'll give the manager, the pitching coach, and a few other Expos gray hair. Jack Clark, the batter. First pitch from Schatzeder, low, ball 1. Clark has walked and bounced out his last at bat in the 4th, driving in a run. Picking up his 85th RBI. Check of the runner. Pitch to Clark. Tap towards third. Big bounder. Wallach over to Law. 1 out on to first. Not in time. Clark is safe. The 4th out on Herr goes 5-4. Wallach to Law.
Law very wisely used that base to protect himself. He stayed behind it, and then when Tommy Herr came in there with the sliding, rolling cross body block, he hit the base, and as he hit the base, Law went straight to Mars. He was trying to get out of the way.
Cedeno has had 2 at-bats. He's hit into a double play, but redeemed himself in the 4th inning with an RBI single.
Oh, buddy, Dorian Magowitz here rooting for the Cards tonight.
Change curve strike over the outside corner. 2-4-1 for St. Louis. 3-5-0 for Montreal. And a long way to go in this one. Just the bottom of the 6th inning. Daniel lines a single to right. Clark will stop at second. Played on a hop by Dawson, and he rifles the ball into Brooks right at the bag at second base. And the Cardinals have 2 on with 1 out.
So Daniel's been like a machine since he's put on that Cardinal uniform. 2 more hits again tonight. He's hit safely in 16 of 18. And he continues to pound that pelota. Terry Pendleton has driven home 60 this year, and he's up in a key spot now. This pennant race is something. Here comes Buck Rogers, the Montreal manager, to the hill. He wants to talk about this situation and also allow a couple of hurlers to loosen in the bullpen.
All of a sudden, the complexion changing. Terry Pendleton in a spot to tie this ball game at least. A right-hander and a left-hander in the bullpen for Montreal. The left-hander shot Zader on the hill. The batter, Terry Pendleton, he is singled and struck out. Montreal looking for 2. Fastball strike over the outside corner. Hope we'll see you here tomorrow. Don't forget, it's a 12:20 start for the middle game of this 3-game series. Tudor against Gullickson. The pitch to Pendleton. In the dirt, scooped out by Butera. 1-1.
The left-hander in the Montreal bullpen is O'Connor.
Jack O'Connor, the former American leaguer, working with right-hander Randy St. Clair. 1-1 pitch to Pendleton. Ripped that, grounded to Wallach. He goes down to his knee, fields, tags the bag at third, throws across the diamond, and the inning is over. A 5-3 double play. Wallach to Francona. The Cardinals blanked in the 6th inning. 1 hit, they leave a runner. And through 6 innings, the Redbirds have left 4 on base. The Expos have also left 4. And as this one moves to the 7th, it's Montreal on top, 3-2.
From the ABC newsroom, thousands of rescue workers continue their grim search for more victims of yesterday's earthquake in Mexico City. At least 1,000 are confirmed dead, but that toll is expected to go much higher. U.S. Embassy officials fear that an American couple on vacation in Mexico City was killed when their hotel collapsed. The Senate Finance Committee has voted to extend indefinitely the 16-cent a pack federal tax on cigarettes and to slap a new tax on chewing tobacco and snuff. Benjamin Sasway, the first man to be jailed for refusing to register for the draft since the Vietnam era, has been freed from prison in Lompoc, California, after serving 6 months of a 2.5-year sentence. Farm Aid organizers say everything is ready but the lighting and sound for Sunday's big concert, but the weather could be a problem with a 60% chance of rain forecast for Champaign, Illinois on Sunday. Vice President Bush told the families of 6 Americans kidnapped in Lebanon the U.S. will not give in to the demands of the terrorists. For the ABC Information Network, I'm John Degnan.
On the scoreboard, Boston and Detroit are tied at 2-2 in the 7th at Boston. Toronto 3, Milwaukee 1, 7th inning at Toronto. Baltimore and New York remain tied at 2-2. Interesting thing with that Baltimore-New York series, the Orioles are the only Major League team that have not beaten every team in his league at least once. They are 0-6 against the Yankees going into that game at Memorial Stadium. Chicago continues to lead Oakland 3-0. That game is in the 3rd inning.
Here it is 3-2 Montreal getting ready for the 7th inning. The 7th inning at Shea Stadium for the Mets proved to be disastrous. Pittsburgh scored 3, and as the Mets come up against Mike Bilecki, it's 5-2 Pittsburgh.
Here in the 7th inning, Babe Ruth leads it off. Dan, shot setter. He struck out tonight, and he did a 2-run homer, and he belts one into right field, the leadoff single. I told you at the outset here this evening, this guy was a very good hitter. And I think he's proved that. A 2-run shot in the 5th and a leadoff single here in the 7th. And that'll get the Cardinal bullpen scampering. It'll bring in the leadoff man, Tim Raines. Raines has been on base all 3 times he's come to the platter tonight. He doubled in the 1st, walked in the 3rd, again in the 5th. And we'll see how Rogers, the Montreal manager, wants to play this. Raines is an excellent punter. Todd Worrell, the big right-hander, strikes to loosen down on the right side. Raines walks in. Pendleton in at 3rd. Cedeno holds against the runner. Cox checks and pitches. Raines is going to swing, does, up the middle. Ozzie gets to it, flips to Tommy. Back to first, come off play. And I mean a fancy dance. Ozzie flipped the ball backhand while on the run. Her was there, touched the base, and it looked like a pitchback machine as it headed towards first. A 6-4-3 twin killing, and the folks love it.
This crowd chanting, Ozzie, Ozzie. And they appreciate his magnificence at shortstop. That was a ground ball that typically would be a tough play for any shortstop. Not only did Ozzie make the play, but as Mike so aptly described, got the ball to Hurd. And when you can turn a double play against Tim Raines, that in itself is huge.
And on a 2-hopper up the middle, that the shortstop has the backhand to the second baseman. Well, you've just seen the best double play combination in the game. And that's the first win killing of the night for the Cards. It brings in Law. Change up to him is inside. After looking at the first one out of the strike zone, it's 2-0. They give Law left center. 2-0 pitch. Slider low. Oh, strike called on a half swing. Silly. It says the first base umpire, Bruce Fleming. So Cox got the benefit of that delivery. Here's his 2-1 offering. Slider in the dirt. On deck, the very dangerous Andre Dawson. We are in the 7th. The Expos holding on to a slim 1-run lead. Nobody on, 2 down, 3-1 pitch. Half swing and a foul. Souvenir time. Don't forget the dugout show, 12:05 tomorrow. It's a day game. It will start at 12:20. The play-by-play comes your way on the broadcast here at 12:15. After falling behind 2-0, it's a 3-2 pitch coming from the Redbird right-hander, Danny Cox. Swinging a little fly ball over short. It's going to drop. Coleman can't get there. It's a 2-out single for Law, and that brings in the very dangerous Andre Dawson. He struck out in the first, again in the fourth, doubled, scored in the sixth. Toronto keeps the pressure on the Yankees. They've already posted a win, 7-5 over the Brewers. Tigers knocked off the Red Sox 6-2. The Yankees and the Orioles are battling at Baltimore, bottom of the seventh. It's 2-2. Chicago over Oakland, 7-0. They're in the fifth. Kansas City on the grand slam home run by Balboni leads 4-1 in the fourth. Dawson swings, pops it a mile high. The third baseman, Pendleton, in foul territory, takes it in. And there goes a big threat. Dawson fouls out to end the seventh. No runs, 2 hits, a double play, 1 man stranded, 6 left by Montreal. Big crowd of 35,000 plus on their feet. 7th inning stretch time. Cards come to bat. Expos lead 3-2.
The game involving Pittsburgh and New York. New York is batting in the bottom of the 7th inning and has scored 2 runs, so it's the Pirates 5, the Mets 4. In the bottom of the 7th inning,
Cassidy takes his final warm-up toss. The Redbirds here in the 7th will have the latter part of the lineup. Smith, Nieto, and then Danny Cox, the pitcher. We're on your station break. Let's take it now.
Leading off, shortstop, Ozzie Smith.
This is the Cardinals Baseball Network.
This is the Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
First pitch to Ozzie Smith. Fastball inside corner called strike. Here's the next. Sidearm curve outside, 1-1. Ozzie tonight has walked, swiped the base, slide to right. Worrell continues to throw in the bullpen. 1-1 pitch. Ozzie takes a half swing, holds up. Fastball, tails, catches the outside corner. Strike 2. Straightaway everywhere for the Cardinals shortstop. And a fastball to him, just misses high and outside. Evens the count, 2 on each side. On a 2-2, Ozzie swings, grounds it up the middle. That's a base hit. Into center field she goes. And the Cards have their leadoff man on again. They put their leadoff man safely into position. In every inning tonight except the first. A walk to Clark, he was erased in a double play in the second. A walk to Ozzie, stranded in the third. A walk to McGee, he scored in the fourth. A double to Nieto, picked off in the fifth. A walk to Hurst, stranded in the sixth. And a single to Ozzie, leading off here in the seventh. The pitch to Nieto. He's going to bunt. He takes it back from a curve inside, ball 1. Tito Landrum's on back. Well, the Mets are trying to come back. In the seventh, 2 runs in. 1 on, 2 out. Pirates hanging on, 5-4. Nieto's going to bunt. He does. A beauty to the first baseman on 1 hop, and the only play is the first. The tying run goes to second. Tito Landrum will be the pinch hitter. 3-4 on the sacrifice. Now the Mets have tied it. They still have a man on, 2 outs. It's 5-5. What a pennant race. What a race. Landrum will bat for Danny Cox. Ozzie at second, 1 down. Danny Cox could be the winner. He could be the loser at this point. He goes 7 innings. Gives 3 runs on 7 hits. Landrum waits. The pitch is a fastball outside, ball 1. They're straight away for Tito. He could tie it or he could put the cards on top. Here's a pickoff play down at second. And Ozzie just gets back in there safely. Already lost one man like that. Ozzie started his move to third. Schatzeder came up, spun all the way around, and threw back there as the second baseman lost, sneaked in. The Mets are still batting. They have a man on, 2 down. They've tied the game. 5-5 with Pittsburgh. They're in the 7th. Here we're in the 7th, and the Redbirds are trying to tie this one. O'Connor and St. Clair are throwing in the Expo bullpen. Schatzeder gets the sign. Landrum digs in. Ozzie gets the lead. 1-0 pitch. Swing and a miss. Pull the string. The leadoff man, Coleman, on deck. Here's the 1-1 to Landrum. In the dirt, back to the screen. Thank you. Wild pitch. Ozzie to third, only 1 out. Big, big play. Well, after the Pirates scored 3 runs in the top of the 7th, the Mets came right back and scored 3 to tie it in the bottom. They're now in the 8th, 5-5. And right here, the Redbirds must get this run. If they can tie it here, and if they can do it with Landrum, and they have a wonderful opportunity. You get to Coleman and McGee and her, and maybe it's the time you get to Schatzeder and go to that depleted bullpen. Squeeze play in effect. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. He pulled the string on him again, tailed the fastball, and it's 2-2. Infield is in for the play at the plate. Landrum with a chance to tie it. Digs in. He's pinch hitting for Danny Cox. From the belt, the lefty. Check, kick, pitches. Swinging a foul out of play. New baseball to the hill. Schatzeder looks at it, puts it in his glove, now back in his hand, stands on, gets the sign. Infielders all in. Ozzie's at third, 1 out. 2-2 is the count. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Threw the fastball right by him at the letter. It's going to be up to Vince Coleman. Redbirds have already stranded 4. Lost 1 base runner being picked off, but hit into 2 double plays, and it's going to take a 2-out something from the Cardinal rookie. Coleman's 0 for 2 tonight with a walk. Infielders drop back. Outfielders deep and straight away. Coleman's driven home 33 this season. Here's the pitch to him. Outside, ball 1.
Same situation, Mike, that Coleman was in, you recall, in the 3rd inning. 2 outs. Smith at third, and on that occasion he hit a ground ball, but hit it too sharply to shortstop. Couldn't beat it out.
Now the next is low inside, and a good play by Butera. Ball 2. Ozzie singled, was sacrificed to second, went to third on a wild pitch. Landrum struck out, and now it's Coleman with 2 down, 2-0 pitch. Upstairs again, ball 3. McGee is next. Schatzeder doesn't want to walk Coleman. Batting .273 to face McGee, .359. Vince will take at least 1. The 3-0. He walked him. He walked him on a high fastball. And the Redbirds have 2 on, 2 out. For Willie McGee, and here comes Buck Rogers. He may lift. Here's Shirley. On the other hand, he's trotting out there. That's an indication that he just wants to talk about the double steal.
A lot of things could happen here, and they're all on the mound talking about it. All of them being dressed in Expo blue. And you talk about a fellow overdue. How many games have there been where Willie McGee has failed to get a hit? Last night at Philadelphia, he was 0 for 5. Willie did not get the ball out of the infield. That closed out his hitting streak at 9 games in a row. And tonight, though he has walked and scored, he is 0 for 2. So Willie is overdue. The league's leading hitter in a spot here to really add to this pennant chase cause for the Redbirds.
He's been a most valuable player. And here he is in a key spot again. Shot setter comes to the belt. Now to the plate. Swing and a base hit. McGee ties the game. What a year. Ozzie scores at 3-3. A bullet to right field. Willie McGee is, without a doubt, the most valuable player in the National League. And he proves it one more time.
He's done it over and over and over. And the fact that he was 0 for 7 in the last 2 games just washes it away. Doesn't let it bother him a bit. You talk about big clutch hits. All of a sudden, you really put Schatzeder on his heels, and things now right where you want him. A chance to break the 3-3 tie.
Coleman's at second. McGee's at first. 2 outs. Spurs at the plate. They're running. A strike. The throw. Go. Double steal. Coleman to third. McGee to second. Number 101 for the Cardinal rookie and number 49 for McGee. Listen to this crowd. 35,000. They're on their feet. Buchanan did all he could. He made a perfect throw. It was too late.
Here's where you can win the ball game. And here's the kind of spot Herr has been in most of the year with Clark behind him. Not much that Schatzeder can do.
Tommy's doubled and scored. He's walked. He's 1 for 2. And here's the 0-1 delivery. Swinging a fly ball behind short. Out goes Hubie. He calls for it and makes the catch. And that takes care of the Redbirds here in the 7th. But they tie the game as they score a run on 2 base hits, 3-2, stranded 6. And listen to this crowd. After 7, Montreal 3, the Cardinals 3. Todd Worrell will come in and he'll take over the pitching duties. Jenny Wilson will tell you about this 8th inning. What a pennant race. The Mets fell behind. They tied it. Cardinals have fallen behind. They've tied it. Both games in the 8th inning. 5-5 at Shea. 3-3 here at Bush. Worrell will be in to try to keep it status quo. He'll have the big boy to face starting it off. The number 4 man, Hubie Brooks, then Francona, and Tim Wallach. Oh, tough threat there in the 8th.
Todd Worrell last pitch, you'll recall, Monday in Pittsburgh, picked up his 2nd save in the opening game victory. He's ready. The right-hander's pitch to Brooks, foul to the screen. A high, hard fastball. It's 1 strike.
He didn't leave any doubt what he's going to do, did he? He said, "You like fastballs, Hubie? Here's a bunch for you."
Let's come in and throw it, and just as soon as he begins to sit on that, he'll throw that nice little slider down and away. The big right-hander serves up another one. It's Heat off the hands, a roller to Herr, over to Cedeno, 1 out. And Brooks, who's had a marvelous year, goes 0 for 4 tonight. And as we mentioned, He's barely hitting over 100 this year against Cardinal pitching. So maybe most clubs haven't been able to stop him, but the Redbirds have really had the collar on Hubie Brooks. Terry Francona in the 6th inning broke a 2-2 tie. His single to right brought home Andre Dawson. He takes a strike from Todd Worrell. Cox going 7 innings, allows 3 runs, 7 hits, walks 3, strikes out 8. Fastball, swing, and a miss, and that one was below the knees. 0-2. Fastball grounded to third. Pendleton gobbles it up. The throw, he gets it. 2 up, 2 down. And a couple of defensive swings on the ground out. Tim Wallach, the Montreal third sacker, is 0 for 3. He has struck out, grounded out, and flied out. Gary Pendleton made a beautiful play to rob him of extra bases in the 5th inning. First pitch, a strike at the knees, 0-1. Todd Worrell, 8 days away from his 26th birthday, has come up and gotten to the big league just when the Cardinals needed him. And he's been outstanding outside of fastball 1-1. Never pitched in the big leagues prior to this late season appearance. He rocks and serves. Breaking ball low, 2-1. There's a ground ball in the hole left side. Big bounce for Ozzie. His throw holds Cedeno off the bag. And by the time Cedeno, who goes up in the air, comes down, safe at first, Tim Wallach. And that's an error to Ozzie Smith, the throwing error.
That's the time when the sore shoulder really is evident, when he has to go in the hole and plant that foot square back, and it's very difficult for him to come up over the top. He had to do that time, and he just couldn't get it down far enough, as Cedeno had to leave the base to reach for it.
Mitch Webster will be the hitter. He is 0 for 2 plus an intentional walk. Wallach at first, 2 outs, 8th inning. 3-3. Inside breaking ball off the glove of Nieto to the backstop. And down to second goes Wallach.
They call it a fast ball. Ball really jumped in towards the batter. Nieto let it go off his glove. Bad combination, an error and a pass ball. It is Mitch Webster. He could tie it. They're going to put in a pinch runner now, as Newman comes off the bench.
Al Newman, a backup infielder, will pinch run at second base for Tim Wallach. He's there with 2 outs here in the 8th. The count is 1-0 on Mitch Webster. Worrell, in his 10th big league game, has a victory and 2 saves. Trying to get a key out here. He checks the runner and throws. Fastball foul at the plate. 1-1 on Webster. Keep in mind, not only tonight, but all weekend, Montreal manager Buck Rogers cannot go to his ace reliever, Jeff Reardon. He's on the shelf with a pulled groin. Fly ball to right, relatively deep. Clark back, waiting. He's got it. And Webster gets to first and slams his helmet down. He's unable to break the tie, and the side's retired. No runs for Montreal. No hits. 1 St. Louis error, and the Expos leave their 7th runner. The Redbirds ready to come up in the 8th. It's Montreal 3, the Cardinals 3.
You know, normally we do not delve into too much news during ball games other than what we get from the wire services. But once in a while, from United Press International, but once in a while something comes over that we feel may be of importance, and this would appear to be in that category. Another earthquake as a yet undetermined magnitude has rocked central Mexico, and the trembler lasted more than 2 minutes and is described by U.S. earthquake monitors as a pretty good-sized quake, in their words. It struck just before 10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, so we're talking about 50 minutes ago, and that aftershocks continued hitting the city minute after minute. The latest jolts came as recovery work continued in Mexico City to free those buried under debris from the killer quake of Thursday. Some 50,000 police, students, soldiers, and Red Cross workers are using picks and shovels and sometimes their bare hands to dig out survivors. So yet another earthquake, as a yet undetermined magnitude, has rocked central Mexico within the last hour.
A new pitcher for Montreal coming on to face the Redbirds in the 8th inning. Right-hander Randy St. Clair. Oh, we got a tight one tonight. Don't go anywhere. Clark, Cedeno, and Pendleton against St. Clair, and the Redbirds and Expos all tied at 3. Al Newman stays in the game for Montreal. He'll play second base. And Vance Law moves from second to third to take Wallach's place. Meanwhile, at New York Shea Stadium, Pittsburgh is batting in the 8th inning. They have not scored in the frame, but they have 2 on with 1 out. And it's all tied there. Pirates 3, Mets 3. So the Pirates are threatening in the top of the 8th inning. What did I say? 3-3, 5-5. Pittsburgh 5, Montreal 5. Or I should say New York. I'll get it right. How many teams are in this penetration?
They're both tied, and they're both in the 8th.
Here's the first pitch. And Clark takes to the ball. Here it is 3-3. Montreal and the Cardinals at New York.
Very good.
5-5. Pittsburgh and New York. There's a fastball strike call 1-1. So I'm not going to talk about the Western Division pennant race in the American League. Be it I just get more confused. Actually, not confused. Just can't get it all out right. St. Clair working 1-1. Clark swings, and it's a high drive. Foul down the right field line, and it'll go back in the crowd. 1-2.
You're not confused. It's just your tongue, right?
My mind is all right, but somehow it's unable to get it all out.
Well, get me out a run here.
Bottom of the 8th, 3-3. Clark is walked, knocked in a run with a ground out, and hit into a force out. He's 0 for 2. Cedeno 2 for 3 on deck. St. Clair's pitch. Fastball grounded over to the third base dugout, 1-2.
They had 2 on, 1 out. Somebody must have hit into a double play. They're in the bottom of the 8th now, and they're still tied. 5-5. The Mets are batting.
St. Clair is in his 39th game. He's 4-2 with a 3.08 ERA. Where's number 51 picking up for Dan Schatzeder here in the 8th? Fastball, strokes to center, a fly ball. Waiting for it is Mitch Webster. He wraps it up, and there's 1 out. Well, if you love baseball and you love the Cardinals, and we know you do, you really love the St. Louis Cardinals, the movie. A 90-minute feature film available on video cassette. And 109 years of Cardinal heroes and highlights are all there. The best-selling video cassette in the history of the Cardinals region. And it's a perfect gift. It's available at most movie video stores. And there's a way you can order it. Cesar Cedeno has picked up his 46th RBI of the year tonight, and he looks at a breaking ball for a strike. You can order the movie, The St. Louis Cardinals, by sending a check for $33.75 to Cardinals Movie, Busch Stadium, St. Louis, 63102. It's also available at the Busch Stadium Sports Hall of Fame. And be sure and specify VHS or Beta. Foul back, 2 strikes on Cedeno. Cardinals took a 2-0 lead in the 4th. Dan Schatzeder belted a 2-run homer against Danny Cox in the 5th to tie it. Expos took a 3-2 lead in the 6th inning. Cardinals tied it at 3 in the 7th. They're trying to break the tie here in the 8th. Ground ball under the glove of Francona. Down the line and right. To the board. Picking it up is Dawson. Cedeno rounding second. Dawson has trouble. Gets the ball in. And Cedeno is at third with 1 out. He went the other way on a 2-strike pitch. Really didn't have that great a swing, just protecting the plate, Mike Shannon. And when Dawson had trouble getting the ball out of the corner, Cedeno goes all the way to third.
Bad defense by Montreal. He was supposed to be guarding that line. First and third. Francona was off the line enough that the hot shot got by him and into the corner. And now the Redbirds have a great opportunity to take the lead.
Now the infield pulled in. The Redbirds a chance to break the tie. The batter, Terry Pendleton, 1 for 3. Cedeno at third. St. Clair gets the sign from Butera. The right-hander set. Here's the pitch. Curve grounded over the back of first into the corner. Cardinals take the lead. Pendleton going for 2. The ball gets away from Dawson. Look at him run. Pendleton going for third. He slides in safely. It's a triple. And the Redbirds lead in the 8th inning. 4-3.
RBI number 61 for Pendleton, maybe his biggest of the year. He painted the line past the diving first baseman again. They were pulled in for the play at the plate. And all Pendleton did was change places with Cedeno. Now it's Ozzie Smith. He could add to the 4-3 lead. Squeeze play is very much in evidence here.
4-3, Cardinals, still only 1 out. Infield pulled in. The pitch to Ozzie, low and inside, ball 1. Clark led off here in the 8th with a fly to center against St. Clair. Then Cedeno, a 2-strike triple into the corner and right, and Pendleton comes up with a triple of his own. Now Ozzie. Here comes a suicide squeeze, the bunt, it's down, the run scores, the throw to first, they get it. And it is 5-3, Cardinals on the suicide squeeze. And the Expos are going to argue that the ball was bunted and hit Ozzie in the batter's box. And Mike Shannon, though I hate to say it, I think that's what actually happened.
It hit something. I don't know what it was. We had a good angle to see it change directions, and we have a big argument going on at the plate now.
I don't think there's any question. It either hit the batter, Smith, or it hit a pebble in the batter's box. And they're going to go down to the third base umpire, John Kibler, because Dick Stello did not see it at the plate, and he wants Kibler to help him. And Kibler says, no, it hit the dirt and just pounded down the first baseline. So the suicide squeeze bunt, a sacrifice for Ozzie Smith. The play goes 1-3, St. Clair to Francona. Pendleton scores. Ozzie has his 46th RBI, and it is 5-3 Redbirds. Boy, and the Expos in disbelief. Pendleton was charging down the line. And the Cardinals have done it all here in the 8th. Now Nieto swings and misses. 1 strike. Both bullpens are active. On deck is Todd Worrell. Nieto has a double tonight. He takes the sinker low, 1-1. 5 runs on 9 hits for the Cardinals. 3 runs on 7 hits for Montreal. Blowing away, 2-1 on Nieto. Here's a fly ball to center field. Mitch Webster there, the left-handed fielding outfielder, makes the catch. The side is retired, but the Redbirds take the lead. 2 runs here in the 8th on 2 hits. Nobody left, and no Montreal errors. The Expos in the top of the 9th have Bucara, the pitcher spot, and Rain scheduled against Todd Worrell. So hold on. We go to the 9th. It's the Cardinals on top in this one, 5-3.
Okay, let's take a look at the scoreboard. First of all, in that National League race, in addition to the game you're listening to right now, Cincinnati is leading Houston 5-3, and the Astros are up for their last time, batting in the bottom of the 9th inning. Mumphrey and Davis have homered for Houston, but the Reds had a 4-run 6th inning to go with 1 in the first, and so that's the margin right now. Reds 5, Houston 3. The Dodgers, with Fernando Valenzuela on the mound, are playing at San Francisco, and that game will be getting underway in just a few moments. It'll be Valenzuela against Mason in that matchup. In the American League, Kansas City, I told you earlier, Kansas City in its ball game against Minnesota is leading Minnesota 4-1. Kansas City and California tied for the lead in the West going into action. Now California is playing its game at Anaheim Stadium against Cleveland, but Cleveland scored 2 runs in the top of the first inning. However, the Angels came back with 3 in the bottom of the first. They've already scored 3 times. They're still batting with 2 men on and nobody out. So that looks like that could turn out to be quite a wild one at Anaheim Stadium. It's the Angels 3, Cleveland 2, California still batting with 2 on and nobody out in the bottom of the first inning. Meanwhile, Chicago is clobbering Oakland 10-0, bottom of the 6th inning at Chicago.
Another night of excitement here at Busch Stadium. Jack Buck is away on a football weekend. I'm Ken Wilson along with Mike Shannon. A crowd of over 35,000. And it's the 9th inning. And the Redbirds leading 5-3. And Todd Worrell, if he can get the Expos out here in the 9th, will have his 2nd big league victory.
They're going to send in a couple of pinch hitters. The first one will be Winningham. And then after him, Scott Thompson's already on deck.
Herb Winningham, a speedster, but he is slowed up by a pulled hamstring. Defensively, the Cardinals place Andy Van Slyke in right field. So it's Coleman, McGee, Van Slyke, Pendleton, Smith, Furr, and Cedeno, and the battery Worrell and Nieto. Winningham, out of the Mets farm system, up there left-handed, and he pops up to shallow left on the first pitch. Coleman in, he's waiting, he's got it. And that's one big out in the 9th. Let's pause for station identification. This is the St. Louis Cardinals Baseball Network.
This is the Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
A left-handed pinch hitter again. This time it is Scott Thompson, the former Cub, who came over recently to Montreal from the Giants in the Dan Dreesen deal. He's hitting .364 with Montreal, .233 overall. He's facing Todd Worrell. Fastball fouled back into the crowd, 1 strike. The Cardinals 2 in the 4th. Expos tied it in the 5th, took a 3-2 lead in the 6th inning. The Cardinals came back to tie it at 3 in the 7th and have taken a 5-3 lead in the 8th. Now it's the 9th. Slider, cream to right center. Long run for McGee. He's there. He's got it. And Thompson, like the previous pinch hitter, Winningham, retired. And now Worrell and the Redbirds are down to Tim Ray. Meanwhile, it's the 9th inning at Shea Stadium, New York. Jesse Orozco is on the mound for the Mets. It's the Pirates 3 and the Pirates 5 and the Mets 5. 5-5 in the 9th at Shea Stadium. Here, 5-3 Cardinals, top of the 9th. Worrell figures to be the winner, 2-0. St. Clair, the loser, 4-3. And Tim Raines, a double, 2 walks, and a double play. He's up there looking to bunt, takes a strike. The Cardinals an out away from handing the Expos their 4th consecutive loss, and an out away from picking up their 8th victory in the last 9 games. Rain takes low and inside, 1-1. Tomorrow, 12:20, first pitch. Our dugout show at 12:05, play-by-play at 12:15. John Tudor against Bill Gullickson. Hope you'll be here. Fastball, hit out of play, 1-2. Sunday, remember our dugout show at 12:50. Our broadcast at 1 o'clock, first pitch at 1:05. Joaquin Andujar against Floyd Yeoman. 5-3, Redbirds in the ninth. Bases empty, 2 outs, and here's a liner to left center, racing over, leaping is McGee. He's got it. Oh, what an ending to a dramatic evening of baseball. And McGee very slowly gets to his feet as he is surrounded by his concerned teammates. Willie McGee closes it out with a dazzling diving catch in left center to take extra bases away from Tim Raines. And McGee now, with his teammates around him, walking off, and he appears to be all right. And certainly the crowd on its feet is going to help him. That's it. The final 5-3 Cardinals, back in a moment.
So the St. Louis Cardinals with that victory over the Montreal Expos, and so St. Louis right now is 91 wins and 56 losses and has cut. New York is now a game and a half back, and that will fluctuate a half a game depending on what the situation is later on in that ball game involving the New York Mets. And when we say later on, that game is in the 9th inning, tied at 5-5, Pittsburgh and New York. Elsewhere, as far as the pennant races are concerned, Cincinnati in the West leading the game against Houston and finally winning it by the score of 5-3. That is the final. Cincinnati 5, Houston 3. So that means that at the moment, the Dodgers lead over Cincinnati is 5 games, and that'll move a half game either way, as the Dodgers are battling the San Francisco Giants. Fernando Valenzuela on the mound for Los Angeles. In the American League East, Toronto has defeated Milwaukee 7-5. The Yankees are 6 games out at the moment and are trailing the Baltimore Orioles 4-2. The Yankees are now hitting in the top of the 9th inning at Memorial Stadium. In the West, Kansas City leading the Minnesota Twins 4-1. That game is in the 7th inning. California is in progress against Cleveland. California leads 3-2 in the first inning, but they have the bases loaded and just 1 out.
The opening game of the 3-game series goes to the Cardinals. They win their 91st of the year and move 35 games over 500. Meanwhile, it's still 5-5, Pirates and Mets in the 9th inning at Shea Stadium. The totals, the Cardinals to win it, 5 runs, 9 hits. They commit 2 errors and leave a half dozen. The Expos, 3 runs, 7 hits, no errors. They leave 7. Todd Worrell is the winner, 2-0. The loser, Randy St. Clair, 4-3. The Cardinals break the tie with 2 in the 8th. Cedeno, a 1-out triple, scores when Pendleton follows with a triple, and then Terry crosses the plate on Ozzie Smith's suicide sacrifice squeeze bunt. So another victory for the Redbirds, and they'll take on the Expos here tomorrow afternoon at 12:20. Our dugout show at 12:05, our play-by-play at 12:15.
So that's the story of this baseball game from St. Louis, as the St. Louis Cardinals have continued to put the pressure on the New York Mets with this victory. Now, let us again update the scoreboard. We can update a couple of those scores for you, and we'll concern ourselves primarily with the races at the moment, and we'll give you some final details about other games in a moment. All right, here we are in the National League East. New York and Pittsburgh are tied at 5-5. That game is in the 9th inning at Shea Stadium. St. Louis has already won in the game you just heard on the Parade of Sports, so St. Louis's lead over New York at the moment is a game and a half. That game now we understand is in the bottom of the 9th inning at Shea Stadium. It is tied at 5-5. At the moment, then, St. Louis leads New York by a game and a half. In the West, Cincinnati has already won its game. Cincinnati has defeated Houston 5-3, so Cincinnati is trailing Los Angeles by 5 games. That'll go a half game either way, depending on how Los Angeles does in its game at San Francisco, as Jerry Royce was the scheduled starter, but we understand Fernando Valenzuela got the start, so Valenzuela against Mason in that game at Candlestick Park. In the American League East, Toronto has defeated Milwaukee 7-5. New York is trailing Baltimore 4-2. The Yankees are hitting in the top of the 9th inning. Toronto leading New York by, right now, 6 games. In the West, Kansas City is leading Minnesota 5-1 in the 6th inning. California is leading Cleveland 5-2 after 1. So that's the situation as far as Major League Baseball is concerned and the games that really count at the moment. Let us update the scoreboard for you then. In the American League, Detroit over Boston 6-2, 6-9-0 for Detroit, 2-7-1 for Boston. Morris got the win, his 15th of the year. Hurst took the loss. Lemon homered for Detroit, Rice for Boston. Milwaukee and Toronto, the Toronto Blue Jays beating...